Alright, so we got the hat on, we got the 360 running in the background, and we got the sleepy dog in the corner there. She also just got a bath, by the way. It's kind of annoying to bathe her, but I just gave her a bath, so if her fur is looking a little bit fuzzier and furrier than usual, she's nice and clean. That's what's going on. It's just we're waiting for her to dry. But either way, with all of that prerequisite set up there, that means it is logically time for a, as I nearly drop it, Nintendo Switch 2 accessory-related review right here. Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and this is going to be a bit more of a casual review here, I suppose. I don't exactly know what I'm going to be saying, but I do have some thoughts, and I want to talk about them on here. But I hope that's even reflected in the title as well, too, because, I mean, it is pretty direct in saying that I end up buying this thing, meaning that I spent my own money on this, meaning that I am just a consumer of this here, meaning that I'm not sponsored by Satisfye. Satisfye does not know who I am. They don't follow me on any platforms or any of that, at least I'm pretty sure they don't. Pretty sure they don't at the time I'm recording this right now. But either way, they don't know who I am. I'm not affiliated with them. None of that stuff. I say that because I've done reviews like this, and there are a lot of YouTubers who, they cover, you know, the Satisfye grips and everything, at least for the original Switch, right? I'm sure the Switch 2 as well, but there's a lot of people that cover them, so when I end up doing some videos, you have people who, like, immediately click the video, dislike, and leave a comment and say, oh, all these YouTubers are getting paid off here, when it's like, no, actually, I paid for all of them myself. But then the people who actually end up watching the videos, a lot of them ended up saying, hey, you should mention somewhere that this is not sponsored or that you paid for this yourself, because we liked this review, but there's so many where, like, the company is giving them an item there that, you know, people would rather, at the end of the day, even though I say this just real quick, even though I usually say, like, hey, if a company gave this to me for free to review, it's not going to change my opinion on there, and I do stay by that, but at the end of the day, a lot of people would rather see a review from somebody who end up paying their own money for the product, which is exactly what I did. This right here, too, is the Switch, it's the Switch 2 ZenGrip 2 Slim Bundle, which means it comes with the actual grip, and it comes with this case right here. Now, I have been waiting for this, and I will say this, I did something very bad. I had my Switch 2 since launch, and I ended up pre-ordering this as soon as I could. I ended up pre-ordering it in maybe like May or so, which meant that I had to end up waiting until it was manufactured, shipped, and all that stuff. But the point being is, I end up using my Switch 2 completely naked. No case, no grip, no nothing for 3 months. Because I was waiting for this here. Because I didn't want to do the thing where it's like for the original Switch, I end up getting a bunch of cases, and then I was switching from Switch case to Switch case to Switch case. I didn't want to do that. I've already done, like, I've owned Satisfye products before. I've used their cases. I like them. I know they're more expensive. I know they're a premium. Plus, with this thing right here, real quick, the grip itself, I know I haven't shown it yet, but the grip itself, at least at the time of recording, is $50 USD. And the bundle I got right here is $70. So that's, you know, 50 for the grip, 20 for the case. I like the case. The case is going to be needed, in my opinion, here, just because, well, it's big. I'll actually show you what we're dealing with right here. You can see it. That's a Switch 2 with the grip. Even if I take this thing out, here it is all together. If I pull it out of here, here's a Switch 2. Here's the grip itself. Installation on these things is really easy if you have not used them before. It's quite literally, you take this right here, you take this right here, you load it up. Can I do it like that? Yep, there we go. There we go. That's all there is to it. Now, the ZenGrip 2 does have a few nice features here, and you can see, like, quite literally on the back here, as I'm showing you all, this is how it typically plays. If you see some things that look like cartridges sticking out of there, yeah, that's one of the things that actually end up surprising me. I want to be very clear, I didn't really care too much about these special features on this, because I knew that it was going to be Satisfye, and it being a more premium product there, from my previous experiences, I was happy with it. I was happy to pay that premium. But one of the things that it did, which I wasn't expecting at all, was the game card holders right there. Now, if you have one of these, if you only have your Switch with the grip, you can now hold up to 3 different game cards. One of them, of course, being in the Switch itself, but then the other 2 are going to be right here, as well as right here. They go in and out pretty easily, so if you're worried about them, like, getting stuck or whatever, you know, it's fine. If you're worried about them getting loose as well, too, and falling out accidentally, it's fine as well. My only complaint on this is, well, actually not a complaint there. The click is really satisfying. When you like pop the cartridge in, it's a very nice satisfying click. But I will say one of the complaints I have on this here is you can see that the way they design these, you might not be able to see it as well with the ZenGrip 2 here, but they do make them asymmetrical on purpose. And that is simply because from the front, when you're holding this here, well, your thumb is by default going to be positioned higher up here. But over here, they got to kind of elongate this side out a little bit so your thumb is able to access this a little bit easier. Then that kind of translates over to the back, because you could see that this cartridge right here on the left, where like your left hand would be, it ends up recessing in pretty nicely in my opinion, but the right one ends up sticking out a little bit more. Also, if you're like really concerned about your cartridges, your labels and all that stuff, and you're kind of worried about like your fingers and oils touching them and everything and maybe messing up the at least the top of the label right there, yeah, that can happen. Give it enough time. I've only been using this here for a few weeks, and that's another thing I did want to say. I actually waited some time in order to do this review because I wanted to actually use this. I wanted to use it around the house. I wanted to take it out. I've even traveled with this already. Literally, I got this thing and then I started taking it on a few airplanes. I used it in hotels. I let other people try them out. Flew back as well too. So I've already gotten good mileage out of this, quite literally. But even though it's minor, that might be my first complaint right there. I'll be honest, I didn't even think I was going to use these, but after now using them for a bit, it might sound a little bit silly, but I do like them, especially because when I'm like playing like this, it is a nice reminder that if I ever want to switch out the game cartridge I have right there, I have two available directly right there. So it works out really well. If you don't want to pocket your cartridges, if you don't want to bring cases, if you don't want to have this or you don't want to purchase it, whatever it is, this seems to work out just fine. It's a nice little bonus there. This does also have some features that the previous one, you could see right here, this is the one I was using, the ZenGrip Pro. This is on my OLED Switch. It does have some nice features that the previous ones did not have. One of them being, check this out, the Switch 2 has a really nice kickstand. I have really tested this thing. I'm actually going to show you all real quick. I used the Switch 2 with the grip on planes, but then there were a couple planes I did not use it on because I was able to set up the Switch 2 on the back of a headrest in front of me thanks to the little like pocket that's on there. And that's all from using the kickstand right here. It's really strong. It's able to hold this. And check this out. You're actually able to use the kickstand without ever taking out the grip. That is really nice. Another nice feature, which I know a lot of people on the original Switch wanted this, and now it's here on the ZenGrip 2 for the Switch 2. I'll show you all. Here's the Switch 2 dock. Here's my Switch 2 docked, I suppose you can say, in the ZenGrip. And here is the Switch 2 with the ZenGrip 2 docking. Just like that. It works out effortlessly. There's not really a struggle. There's none of that stuff. It ends up guiding in incredibly well, and there's really no issue there. So once you connect it, it's all good. I haven't had any connectivity issues if I'm using like a wireless controller or something. Haven't had anything with that. And then you just take it out like so. Completely effortless. So that was a really nice feature. That one I will say I was looking forward to, because on the original Switch right here, every time you want to dock this thing, you have to take it out of the grip, and then once you're done, you got to put it back into the grip itself. There you go. Now, so far, I've shared a lot of positive things about the ZenGrip 2, but what about any negatives on here? Well, first of all, one of them is going to be the price. Don't get it twisted. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, this is going to be really affordable, everybody should get one. No. Realistically, no. The ZenGrip 2 alone, and this is before shipping and all that, the ZenGrip 2 alone is $50. The ZenGrip 2 with the case that I showed is $70. So these are going to be more premium products in terms of look, feel, and pricing, so do keep that in mind. Again, the reason why I end up going with Satisfye is because I've been a previous customer and I am a repeat customer. I actually have one of their original grips, I have a Switch Lite grip, and I have the ZenGrip Pro, the one for the Switch OLED. This one I was incredibly excited to get, I remember, because the nice thing is, I'm going back to positives now, but the nice thing is this really helps out with ergonomics. That is one thing I want to talk about as well. With the original Switch's size and the back being so flat, it was really nice because when you would hold the console like normal, it kind of felt like there was like something missing, you know? But then the ZenGrip ended up restoring that, and I will say, in my opinion at least, this is completely my opinion, I think this one is a perfect grip. The ZenGrip Pro, using it on the Switch or the Switch OLED, I think it's a perfect grip. Everything just fits really nicely on here, and I absolutely love this one. However, I will say I can't necessarily say that about the ZenGrip 2. Excluding the price on here, let's just talk about the grip itself. You see, I can hold it just fine, and I understand that I didn't use the Switch 2 as much in handheld mode the last few months I had it, simply because I was waiting for this right here. I will say ergonomically, right off the bat, the Switch 2, the ergonomics are nicer than the original Switch, so it's more tolerable for me, but I was really wanting a grip. But the thing is, from these previous ones, and again, I'm talking as a repeat customer here, the original grip had a few issues, they worked it out, so the ZenGrip Pro is pretty nice, the OLED one is really nice, and again, like I said, when I hold this, I miss this feeling. I miss this exact feeling right here. It even just feels like by default when I grip this, like it's just, it's perfect, especially on the right hand. Unfortunately, I didn't get that same feeling with the ZenGrip 2. Which is important too if you're going to be spending, you know, tens or hundreds of hours playing this thing in handheld. The left one is fine, but I noticed just by default when I grip this here, you could see that like the tip of my thumb doesn't really go to, and this is my own hands, right? But the tip of my thumb doesn't really go to the right stick by default. It's kind of like the middle of my thumb right there. So I kind of have to like shift my right hand a bit, and then it's kind of like this. And really what I'm saying is I wish that they made this a little bit more asymmetrical, and I just wish they kind of made this a bit bigger on the right side. That's really what I was hoping for. I feel like they probably shrunk it down in research and development because aesthetically they wanted it to look a little more even though this is not even. This is asymmetrical there. But you could tell, especially because this one is white, on the original one, or like the Pro one here, but the original was the same, you could see that the left side is much smaller than the right side, and that is by design, and I did really like that. So I feel like with the ZenGrip 2, in my opinion at least, they had to do a little bit of a trade-off for aesthetics with ergonomics, which they didn't have to do. That's not what I wanted. That is not why I purchased Satisfye. One issue people had expressed was the rubber grips here. Oh, and I guess this comes in and out easier now. But the rubber grips, which you could see on the inside right here, essentially these are just all gripped down, so that way it actually like kind of smoothly inserts your console in and out, and it's not just like bare metal directly with the console or bare plastic here, so that way you're not scratching it up as much. But several people had asked before, hey, what about like the marks? Is this going to leave like ugly marks on my console? And I can actually show you a bit of that here. It might be a little bit hard to see. I'm doing my best to kind of capture it here, but essentially you're going to have like 4 marks and 4 marks right here. So you're going to get some marking on your system. I know that might turn off some people. That's just kind of how it goes. Is it like scratches? No. But is it kind of like a marking? Yes. And can you take it off? I mean, yeah, if you're like persistent about it, you can kind of just like rub it off with either your hand, or you could use like a cloth or something like that, like a microfiber cloth, and just stay consistent about it. But I'll be realistic with you all. After years of doing this, I don't do that. I actually have, as a demonstration right here, I have my OLED here. I got the system and the grip in 2021, so I use them for, let's say, over 3 years consistently, right? This one has some of that rubber on there as well, but if I take it off here, you could see that there are a few marks on the back of the console itself. There will be some marking on like the side of the Joy-Con, so that's going to be the same, but on the actual console here, let me see if we can show it. There we go. You could see one right there. You could see another right there. You could see one right there. This is also after I like rubbed it off a little bit here just prior to the video, just showing you all that like you can kind of clean it up a little bit. But I will say this, this is not enough for me to really care. There are people who they do want their system to look pristine, and this is going to be a deal breaker for them. And I completely understand that. I really do. But when it comes to myself here, look, I deal with used systems, I deal with new systems, I deal with cleaning them, refurbishing them. If they got some scuffs here and there, you know, that's not going to be a huge deal breaker to me. I don't need my systems to be in premium, pristine, mint condition. I'd like them to be in good condition at least. And actually, just as an example, I'll even show you this. I have that console right there, right? That one working, and it doesn't look like it's on, but it is working because I end up taking it apart. It works just fine, but it was given to me. I end up taking it apart, cleaned it up. I'm waiting on the plastics to fully dry. But for example, here's the bottom of it. I don't know what that is. I tried cleaning it, I tried scrubbing at it, I don't really want to take a magic eraser to it here. I don't know what that is. Is it annoying? Sure. Is it going to bug me or like impede my, you know, enjoyment of the system? No. And that's my own opinion here. For some people, this might be an absolute deal breaker, but for me, it's fine. I could even show you all, I've already had worse damage done to the Switch too. The actual console is fine, right? And I could just even feel it is a much more premium product than the original Switch and even the Switch OLED as well. However, I'll show you all, even though I had it uncased for months, and I did take it outside as well too, and I was careful with it, but I did take it out, I actually ended up getting a bit of damage to it without even taking it out anywhere. I don't know how this happened, right? There was one night I had I remember I had my Switch 2 here. I was somewhere else in the house. I ended up coming over. I wanted to pick up my Switch 2 and I noticed this on the left Joy-Con right there, that scuffing right there. It looks like something ended up hitting it, and it also ended up hitting a little bit of the L button right there, the L trigger, the L shoulder button, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. I was really annoyed when I saw it because I was like, the system was literally just sitting here. It was on my desk. I don't know what fell, what grabbed at it, so I don't know. I don't know what scuffed it. I was careful with it, but I'm just like, you know, at this point it shows that there's like more dangerous things that can happen to the Switch in the house as opposed to taking it out. So again, that's my opinion on it. So we've covered price, we've covered pros, cons, we've covered functionality here. The last thing I want to cover here is going to be the actual case itself, which I will say here, I actually kind of thought this was a step back yet again. You see, I didn't realize, again, this was kind of a blind buy for me, right? Because I was like, oh, Satisfye, they're making a new case, they're making a new grip, boom, I'm gonna buy it. This ended up being the only option, and it is the slim case, so I'm sure there's gonna be more options in the future, but it ended up being leather here, you could see. I didn't know it was gonna be leather. It is vegan leather, according to the box, but, I'm a gamer. I didn't need this. I really did not need like a nice bag for this or anything. In fact, I'll actually show you the bag I would have preferred. Satisfye is no stranger to making bags, and for the original Switch and the Switch Lite, they end up making several bags. This is actually one of the more thicker ones, and you can see it's not even perfect. Like the zipper here is a little bit like misaligned, but it has worked incredibly well. And ever since I got this thing, I have a lot of stuff in here, but ever since I got this thing right here, this case, I've taken it all over the place. I've taken it to different countries. I've taken it in different planes, cars, houses, apartments, wherever it is. I've taken it all over. And this case looks pretty much about the same as it did years ago. There's like a tiny bit of wear and tear like at the bottom here, but that's fine. It's a fabric case. That's okay. Now that's the annoying thing, because since this leather case is not a fabric case, I feel like I have to be more careful with it. So see, if I get like a bit of scuffing on the back here, it doesn't bug me. But if I get some scuffing on this, I'm going to be annoyed. The case itself here is fine. You open it up, you can hold, 12 cartridges in there. It's got like this little basin up top, so I have some more cartridges. I have the little like wrist straps for the Joy-Cons as well. And then aside from that, you really just take the Switch 2 with the grip, you pop it in, you close it. There you go. It's all good. If you're wanting to case this thing, I would definitely recommend getting the Satisfye case, because I don't know of any other case that is going to have you hold this thing, because the Switch 2 is already big and it's going to get bigger. So I will say, with guys, if you're going to be handling this, you can throw it in a backpack. You can like throw it in the back of your car or whatever it is. It's okay. For the ladies out there, yeah, this is going to take up a lot of room. This is going to take up a lot of room, so you're going to have to do some forward thinking on this if you're getting this whole setup. So overall, my thoughts on here, I guess wrapping this all up, the Satisfye ZenGrip 2, I like it, but I was expecting more. You see, there might be people who maybe you've never owned a Satisfye product and you're going to purchase this and you're going to absolutely love it, and if you do love it, awesome, wonderful, that's great. For me, I wanted to love it, but instead of loving it, I ended up just liking it. Again, you see, I've had 3 previous grips. The first one I had some issues with, but they were remedied in later models. The Switch Lite grip was great. The Switch OLED grip has been great as well, too. Like, this, to me, was perfect. And this is what I got used to for several years, and this is what I expected. I honestly just expected the ZenGrip Pro on the Switch 2. And if they just did that, I would have been incredibly happy. And meanwhile, I do understand that Nintendo ended up changing the ergonomics and the function and kind of like the shape and such on the Switch 2, so they had to adjust with this accordingly. But really, my thoughts on this are, I can see what they're doing. Like, you know, I like that I'm able to use the kickstand. I love that I'm able to now dock this properly. But in terms of just actually using the grip itself, because the whole point is being able to, you know, play in handheld mode more comfortably, I think we can play even more comfortably. I just personally believe that compared to previous products I've bought from Satisfye and seeing them go from the Switch to now the Switch 2, I personally believe that yes, they are still making good products, but some of those good ergonomics and some of those choices for functionality itself were kind of traded in or shaved down a little bit in order to trade that off for really leaning into being a premium product. Do I acknowledge that these Satisfye grips and cases are premium products? Absolutely, but it's not premium enough. Like, I don't need a leather case for this, man. I could have, you could have just given me, you know, I could have just had the fabric case. I would have been perfectly fine with the fabric case, but this one here, this is just another thing I need to worry about. That's what I don't like about it. The functionality is still good, and would I rather use this than using the Switch 2 naked? Absolutely. It does make a big difference right there, and it will save hands, so I have no doubt about that. But is it actually worth $50 or $70 if you're getting the case? That's really going to be up to you on there. For me, I do use the Switch 2 enough, and I was really looking forward to this, and I use it in handheld mode enough times that, to me, it was worth it. But if you're somebody who maybe you just don't have an issue using this in handheld mode, you might not need one of these. Although, you should still at least try a grip, because you'll be surprised. I'll say that at least. Oh, and if you're someone where like you incredibly rarely use handheld mode, you mostly just play this in docked mode, you don't need one of these. Like, is it a nice bonus? Absolutely. But no, unless you're primarily playing in handheld mode, I can't recommend one of these to you. I guess my last thought that I have on here before I wrap this up is any of the complaints that I was having on here, which mainly come from, you know, kind of the slight ergonomics on that. I hope they do change that in a future model. I'm sure there's going to be like another iteration or two of this. I just don't know, because I also know that Satisfye seems to have their process and such for everything pretty locked in. I've been able to tell from that at least. So they don't have to do as many revisions. They've been doing this for years. It's been fine, but you know, that's just me being picky on there. And again, that's my own personal preference. And that's just me being honest with you all. Because I will say, if there's people who think I'm complaining about this thing, yeah, I'm going to complain about something that if I was expecting it, I didn't get it or didn't live up to my standards. Especially when I'm paying, you know, $70 for this bundle here. Absolutely, I'm going to be outspoken about it. I'm not going to be one of those YouTubers who's just going to say, oh, everything is perfect and there's no issues and everybody should have a grip. Like, no. No. If you're going to be plopping down, especially this kind of money on here, I do want to be honest with you all about it. That's about it I have for this video, though. This is Mr. Mario, signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, a like would absolutely be appreciated, and if you didn't like it, and you just, you know, you don't want to use a grip on your Switch too, a dislike is fine as well, too.